Hello there. Welcome to the Whut the Whut podcast. This is the podcast about nothing, but also about all the things. I'm your host, Dave Johnson. Some people call me DJ. If you're my friend, you call me DJ, so you guys can all call me DJ. And you may even know me as DJ Whut, but that was a long, long time ago. I'm a pop culture fan, a Star Wars fanatic, lover of music, video games, and sports. I'm a slight sneakerhead and a self-professed foodie. So this is episode 2. Again, I had no idea where this was going to go. Didn't know how many people would listen. Didn't really know what to expect. I've never done this before. Really just wanted to try out the podcast thing to see how it went, see if I liked it, see if it was good for me and cathartic, and so far, so good. Not a lot of people listened, mostly friends and some family, but so thanks to those that did listen. Certainly appreciate it. Even got a couple of emails from some old friends, so big shout out to Lainey and Chas. Good to hear from you all. Haven't heard from you guys in a long time. So hopefully if you enjoy this episode, you want to keep it going, you'll pass the word around to some friends. There's a little bit more content this time around. So last time was kind of the intro. So let's see where we go with this one this time around. So what are we going to talk about today? I established some segments last time. So we're going to try to stick to that formula and see which way it goes and see if we key on some formulas and key on some segments, or if we just go with it. I have no idea. Again, it's all in motion. It's just going to be kind of flowing as we go. So we'll start off with the life update. What's going on in my life? Not a whole lot of things. Still working from home. Still helping the 15-year-old get through life as he's doing school from home. He's about to head back to school face-to-face for the first time this week. So he's a freshman in high school. He's never even been to his high school. So we're going to see how that goes. The wife's doing all right. She's hanging in there. Again, we've all been cooped up in the house together for a long time. But again, we're good family. So I think we're going to be in a good shape there. Probably the best thing going on, the biggest news for me right now is my birthday's coming up. So about to be the big 4-4. Feeling like an old man every day, more and more. The body's not doing what it does. The back's always hurting. Can't always eat exactly what I want, but we do what we do. But yeah, so the birthday's coming up, going to be 44. So I'll expect, if you're a fan, send me some stuff. I'm kidding. Don't send me some stuff, but I appreciate it all for sure. I'm sure I'll get the typical Facebook birthdays as we all do, as we still use Facebook, and that's fantastic. Nothing going to be special. Probably can't go out to eat, but we'll hang out with my family and my bubble family as I do. So it'll be which is my sister-in-law and her kids. So it's all good. We'll have a good time. Have some good fun. Other than that, life is what it is. Living in North Carolina, doing the things that we do. It's been cold here, if you could call it cold, which is, like the 30s. Which is not cold for me as a one-time northerner, but people around here are freezing, which I always find hilarious. So I rather just enjoy this. But there's been no sun until recently, so that causes its own problems. But weather's breaking, things are coming up. Spring here is going to be beautiful, I know, and that's always good for the life, for sure. Absolutely. So what's next? That's all I got for life. That's all I can think of to talk about for life for now. I'm sure we'll come up with more things later on as I ramble for the rest of this podcast. Sports news. What happened in sports since we last talked? The Super Bowl. That's what happened. And Tom Brady, former Patriots quarterback, my former quarterback, somehow at the ripe old age of 43, I think, he's my age, wins another Super Bowl with another team. Just wow. Not going to lie, I was certainly rooting for him. As a Patriots fan, people were always saying that he's not that good, and it's because of Belichick, and he's not the best, and he never will be the best, and so on and so forth. And right now, I think Tom Brady's kind of laughing that to the bank and just saying, "Look at me now, y'all. I'm the best quarterback ever." Prove me wrong, if you will. But it is what it is. It was pretty cool. It was interesting with the pandemic, how the crowd looked and what was going on there, how the play was. But I thought it was actually enjoyable. It was an interesting game. It was interesting to watch him work, to see him and Gronkowski team up again and score touchdowns for a different team, but that led to the Super Bowl. So I think that's all wild. I think it was a wild time and interesting. We all watched the Super Bowl for commercials, right? Commercials were fine. Nothing's really sticking out for me except for that Cheetos commercial, which I thought was pretty funny. Didn't take any notes on the Super Bowl, so I need to do better at that for commercials wise. But yeah, not too bad. So sports wise, Tottenham sucks at soccer right now, so they're not doing great. If you're a soccer lover, you know that I am. If you've been paying attention, they're not doing great. But looks like Manchester City has locked down the EPL anyway. So I'm looking forward to March Madness. Looks like WVU, which is really the only basketball that I pay attention to, is not doing that bad. May come in at a decently high 3 or 4 seed for the tournament. Tournament's going to be interesting this year, because we didn't have one last year, right? So let's see what happens this year. But March Madness is what's next for me. I know that hockey's going on, but I haven't really been paying attention to the Pens or the Bruins, which would be the teams that I do follow, and the Hurricanes also. But it's going on as well, and I just don't pay attention to the NBA. I'm sorry. I just don't. I really just don't. You can be mad about it if you want to, but I just don't pay attention. I'm after March Madness. I get ready for baseball, and that's where my life is. Sorry, I had to get a drink there. So that's the sports news for the podcast. As I said, we got our segments. We kind of go through them short and sweet, dwell when we need to dwell, and that's what's going on today. If you have some things that you think I should talk about, email me. Let me know what else I should talk about when it comes sports-wise. What's next? We've got the gaming update. So what's going on in video games for Dave? It's just Call of Duty all day long. I'm still playing Call of Duty Warzone. That's just kind of what's been going on for me. I've not picked up Black Ops yet. If you're a gamer, you'll get that reference. But I sit in my room with the game going, lights off, and I just play. I got some friends that I play with. So shout out to Cam and Sean and Stu and Vince when he's on, and we just kind of get things done, having a little bit of time playing some Call of Duty and just laughing at each other and laughing at kids that kill us in the game. But it's a good time. So I'm looking for something a little bit different coming up soon. I think I'm finally going to play through The Last of Us. I've got it sitting on my PlayStation waiting to be played. I just haven't done it yet. Again, I just kind of go in and play and just don't think when I play. That might cause some thinking. Do play the Animal Crossing on the Nintendo Switch. My family and I we do enjoy that silly little game. Again, it's mindless and just something to get our minds off of the rest of the world sometimes. But those are really the 2 games that I'm playing right now. It's kind of stuck at that. So we'll see what goes on. Considering buying Black Ops to kind of continue because just Modern Warfare is getting a little boring. But we will see. We'll see what I decide to do. But video game is another one of those things that I just kind of do on the side. But if this takes off, maybe I won't game as much. I don't know. But if you play Call of Duty, I occasionally play Fortnite, but not as much anymore. If you're a gamer and you're looking to play a game with somebody and you want to look somebody up, look up the Rogue Panda. That's right. That's my gaming name, and hit me up and maybe we can play together. So those of you that are gamers looking to want to catch up with Dave, play with DJ a little bit, by all means, look me up, and we can for sure play. I'd have some fun doing that, absolutely. So that's the gaming update. Doodly doo. Oh, that's from another podcast. She'd never hear that though. What's next? We got the wrestling wrap up. Again, this is the show about all the things, right? It's about nothing but about all the things. If you listen to the first episode, you know that I am a wrestling fan. I love the pro wrestling, mostly WWE, some AEW, and then other things on the side, but again, mostly WWE. So since we've been here, was the Royal Rumble happened, which is a big deal when it comes to wrestling world. It's my second favorite wrestling event after WrestleMania, of course. Men's Royal Rumble won by Edge, so another old person who was not supposed to wrestle anymore comes back and wins the Royal Rumble because it's good for business. So we'll see who he challenges at WrestleMania for the championship. On the women's side, more exciting, Bianca Belair. She wins the female Royal Rumble. Black female wrestler who I think is hilarious and fantastic. She's very enjoyable, a lot of personality. She has this catchphrase that she said a couple of times, I go here now, which just made me laugh. It's out of context for you all, but if you pay attention to wrestling, it'll make a lot of sense. So I'm excited to see where her career goes. I think she's, again, super talented, interesting, both in the ring and on the microphone, which are the 2 talents that you need to have if you're going to be successful in professional wrestling. So can't wait to see where things go with her for sure. So that's wrestling. That's, it's pretty standard. It's, again, another mind-numbing thing that I do that's an old school favorite of mine since I was a little kid, that I've enjoyed to do and pay attention to. It's my little soap opera. It's silly. I know it's completely silly, but I find it very entertaining. On a side note with wrestling, if you haven't started watching The Rock's new TV show, Young Rock, highly recommend it. Even if you don't like wrestling, you probably like The Rock, and the show looks like it could be some fun stuff if you need a good sitcom to watch these days. Looks very interesting, so give it a shot for sure. So speaking of that, new TV shows, we add a new segment to the Whut the Whut podcast. We're going to call this the Moving Picture Minute. That's right. I think I'm hilarious, so I'm trying to come up with different names for our segments. So the Moving Picture Minute is just about what's going on in TVs and movies. I like, as you can see, I'm a pop culture fan. I like to be entertained in lots of different ways. So these days I used to love to go to movie theaters all the time and watch movies, but we can't do that now. But I'm not going to lie, I'm not upset about it because now I'm streaming movies in my house with the HBO Max and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime. And so it's been just fine. And so what am I watching right now that I think is worth you checking out? I've already, talked about Young Rock. It's a network show. I think it's on NBC. Great sitcom. Either watch it live or on your Peacock or on your on-demand, whatever. Good show. I enjoyed it. I laughed. That's what sitcoms are for, right? Other than that, WandaVision. So if you've got your Disney Plus, if you are a Marvel MCU fan and you're into the Marvel movies, you should definitely be watching WandaVision. If you're an old school comic book head, a big comic book geeky nerd like me, so many Easter eggs, so many things to watch, so many things to look out for, but also the show is just interesting. It's just different. It's got a little bit of action here and there, but mostly drama and some comedy, and also it's fan service. A lot of fan service going on there for us, comic book fans, giving us things we would like to see in live action that we haven't seen before. So WandaVision on Disney Plus, part of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is just fantastic. Please be watching. I think the final episode's coming up next week after we're taping this. The last episode was absolutely phenomenal. Maybe there's 2 more episodes. I'm actually not even sure, but I'm enjoying it no matter what. It's the one thing that me, my wife, and kid on a Friday night, we put the phones down, turn everything off, and we sit for 30 minutes and watch and enjoy as a family. Something that we should be doing more of, but it's the one thing that I can get the 15-year-old to sit down with us and watch, if you will, and we all enjoy. So I highly recommend. No spoilers here. That's not what I'm about here on this podcast, but please check out WandaVision if you care. And if you don't like the MCU, maybe a good entry point for you also. It's just different. I'm ready for Falcon and Winter Soldier when that comes out, which is going to be the next Marvel TV show happening. So if I didn't mention this before, I love Star Wars, and we'll get there, but I also love the Marvel Universe. For sure, it's been something that's kind of captured me for a long time, and I find it entertaining. So I'm super excited to be able to talk about that as well and let you know what's going on there. As far as other than that, watched an interesting movie last night actually with the wife, called I Care a Lot on Netflix. Starring, and what is her name? Oh, darn it. I can't remember her name. I'll think of it in a second here. Sometimes names, escape me. Oh, Rosamund Pike. It stars Rosamund Pike. Fantastic actress. Great movie. Really, really cool movie. Really dark, super, super dark movie. But paid off is what I will say. For that movie in the end. So highly recommend. I know that's a Netflix movie, just came out. She's fantastic in it, so I highly recommend you check that out, if you will. So those are my what moving picture minutes that I got going. A little bit longer than a minute, but that's what I've got for you for moving picture. So please check that out. Next segment, what am I reading? And we always spell that with a WHUT because that's what we do here on the Whut the Whut podcast. what am I reading? Yes, on top of all the other things that I do, I like to read the books. I have been reading books forever because that's what we do, but I like to read. I am definitely more of a science fiction fan when it comes to reading. That's kind of what my thing kind of is, or fantasy. So from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit to Star Wars novels, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll read other things in between the classics or whatever. So one of my goals on here is to kind of let you know what am I reading right now, because I'm usually almost always reading something. So I just finished Dune, which is an old science fiction novel. Robert Herbert. Sorry, I'm probably saying that wrong. Also, I may be escaping the wrong name there. But actually, let me make sure I have the right name. Not Robert. It's Frank Herbert. Frank Herbert is a series book from 1965. So it's an old novel that I just never got through because it is super long. It's a read. It is a journey to read through Dune for sure. Going to be a big movie coming up. It was a movie that was already made once, I believe in the 70s, maybe early 80s. But they're remaking it. I think it's going to be one of those HBO Max movies first, directed by, I want to say, Denis Villeneuve, I think. We're directing that movie, but it looks pretty like they're going to do a better adaptation this time. The first movie, I actually haven't seen it. It's on my things to watch. Now that I've read the book, I'm going to be watching the first old movie for sure. But this movie, this book definitely influenced all things sci-fi these days. If there are some... If George Lucas didn't get some influence from Dune and Star Wars, I don't know what else is done, but it's for sure influenced Star Wars, absolutely. But it's a pretty good book. It's a long read. If you like Star Wars or any other kind of science fiction stories, I highly recommend it. But it's a challenge. It's a quest just to get through it, if you will. So I highly recommend it if you're into that kind of book. Right now, I told you I read Star Wars books, so I've taken a kind of shifted the other direction. So I'm reading, it's called From a Certain Point of View, which is, this is the Empire Strikes Back version. So it's 40 different stories from 40 points of view from the Empire Strikes Back movie to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Empire Strikes Back. They did this a few years ago with Star Wars. Same thing. And what it is there's 40 different stories in there by 40 different authors telling you different stories that you wouldn't know about from Star Wars. So whether it's a gunner in the Rebel Army or one of the soldiers in the Empire telling you their point of view. And that's what this book is all about. So if you haven't read the Star Wars one, it's entertaining. You get some cool points of view from people that you wouldn't otherwise know the story about. And this one's the same way. I'm not done through it yet. I think I'm only about 15 stories in. But already it's interesting just to look at different points of view. It's one of those things where you watch these movies and there's the direct story, but what about all the side stories with all the side, extra characters or the minor characters, what's going on there? So this gives you a nice, interesting look at those characters. Absolutely. So From a Certain Point of View, Empire Strikes Back. That's what I'm reading. And that leads us directly into our Star Wars briefing. And that's really what I'm doing Star Wars now. I told you we're going to talk Star Wars every episode. And right now for me, Star Wars is that book. That's what I'm doing for Star Wars right now. There's no movies out right now. There's no new shows that are really coming out until the end of the year. So after I read this book, I'm looking to probably get into what Star Wars is doing this year is releasing some book material for young adults, for adults, and some kids books with the High Republic. So it's going to be telling the story of the Star Wars universe from 200 years before any of the Skywalker stuff. And so that's next time. I haven't heard good or bad about it. I don't know that much about what's going on, but again, I've told you before, I love all things Star Wars, so I'm going to give that a shot as well. So that'll be the next thing I'm doing. For sure. Now, if you pay attention to the world, you may be aware that Gina Carano is allegedly no longer part of the Mandalorian TV show, for better or for worse. Don't know how much I want to give an opinion on this. I find the whole thing very unfortunate. I thought if we're talking about TV wise, I thought the character was fantastic. I really liked the character and thought it was added a lot to the show and was going pretty well from a person standpoint. I liked Gina Carano and have for a very long time. Before she was ever an actress, I was into her for fighting. I like UFC. I thought she was a good fighter, and so I respected that whole aspect as well. And every movie she's been in that I'm aware of, she did a good job, played the part she was supposed to play. So that being said, she's got some personal points of view that I certainly don't necessarily agree with. No, not necessarily that I don't agree with based on what she posts online. And so it is what it is. If Disney found that it was problematic and they decided to make their decision to not have her part of their team anymore, then that's where that's at. So I guess that's my opinion. I said I wasn't going to give an opinion, but I guess I'm giving one. It's done, Can they work it out? Who knows? I'm also one of those people that thinks if we don't give people chances and let people try to change, then what are we even doing? Why are we trying to educate? But she feels how she feels, and she has the right to feel that way, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. We just don't support it if we don't think it's right. So that's where that is. Guess what's going to happen? Star Wars is going to move on. They're going to continue making the Mandalorian shows or some other show that has to do with Star Wars, whether she's part of it or not. Everybody in Star Wars is expendable, except for Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford. And guess what? They're almost done with their parts of Star Wars as it is. Everybody else, I'll tell you right now, is expendable. That's just all you need to think about. Star Wars has been living for over 40 years, and it's going to keep going after that. That's the world. So whether she's involved or not, people can try to cancel it out and say, stop watching Star Wars because of it, but it's going to continue on. That's my point of view. So there's my Star Wars briefing. Whether you like that part or not, again, hope that you enjoyed it at least and it got you thinking. So what's the next segment? So again, at some point in time, I'd like to be having some ads in here. So this might be where I would do an ad read, make a little money for the podcast. So I'll talk about ads at the end of the podcast, what my plans are if this goes well. So let's get into the sneaker snapshot. Told you I was a slight sneakerhead, so not crazy out of the world when it comes to sneakers, but I certainly love shoes. Recently had a new renaissance with shoes, and my new shoe goal, if you will, my new shoe hobby is looking for 90s and 80s inspired shoes, mostly Adidas's, under $50. So it's more of a bargain hunting, more of a chase there. I'm not spending hundreds of dollars on shoes right now, but that's just that's not where my life is. Probably won't ever be. But I think it's more fun to find cool looking old school shoes for a bargain and a deal. So I talked about this last time. So what I think with this segment is I'm going to start talking about the shoes that I found when I find a shoe. So if I don't find a shoe, maybe I don't do the sneaker snapshot, but if I do, we talk about it. So I have a couple that I've already purchased, so I'm going to go over those for the next couple of episodes if we continue this on. So the first one I'm going to talk about where this kind of got started was the Adidas Young One. So it's definitely what I learned is there's a whole dad shoe trend out there these days. So that the old 90s inspired athletic trainer and running shoe styles that we all love so much, they're called the dad shoe. And apparently they're actually cool. The kids actually don't mind a dad shoe, because dads are cool. We're cool, right? It's all good. But this is the Adidas Young One. That's YUNG1 was the style. And so this is the one that I bought was an Adidas Young One. I got it on Amazon for like $38 in a charcoal and orange color. I think my plan is to, if this takes off, to have an Instagram page that maybe shows the photo of whatever shoe I'm talking about, so you all can see it if you can't find it, see what you think. But again, I thought it was a cool shoe. I needed some new shoes. It was an old school looking shoe, which I love that look. $38, so I'm buying it. I'm doing that. When I can get an $80 shoe for over half off, I'm doing that stuff. So that's the one that I got. So the first shoe that started this kind of new renaissance for me for shoe loving is the Adidas Young One. So look it up, see what you guys think. If you think it would be a good idea for me to start an Instagram to kind of share what the shoes look like for some of you sneakerheads, they're already on my personal Instagram page. So if you're a friend of mine, you've already seen these shoes, but we may want to branch this out to if there becomes a larger audience so I can reach them. I love to show them what the shoe is as well. So that is the sneaker snapshot. Next topic, if you will, we're going to talk about food. You all know that I'm a self-professed foodie. So what I've figured this segment should now be about is me talking about a recipe that I made recently, and how it went, what it is, and maybe share the recipe to some degree if this thing takes off, or maybe again on Instagram. So here on DJ Cooks What is the segment. I want to talk about what I like to now title my signature dish, and it's called that because it's my wife's favorite thing that I make, and it's my cheesy chicken and mushroom risotto. So you guys know I'm Italian. If you know me or you've heard me talk about it, I'm also Italian. I'm half Italian, half black, so black Italian. Let's call it whatever you want. But my Italian roots are strong when it comes to cooking. So whether I was taught by my mom or grandmother to make a certain dish, or I've learned to teach myself, risotto was one of those ones I taught myself. And it started with a cookbook that I got from Giada De Laurentiis, her basic risotto recipe, and then I always use recipes as guidelines, if you will, or suggestions, and then turn them into my own thing. So this is a basic risotto recipe that takes care and time. You can't just throw it in the pot and let it go. You actually have to babysit it, if you will. So take your big pot, whether it's a big, nice enamel Dutch oven or a big skillet. I highly recommend nonstick, whatever's best for you. And you throw in your olive oil with some garlic and maybe a shallot. That's what I recommend. Cook all that down. Add some butter, not a lot of butter, a couple of tablespoons. Get that cooked down, and then add in your risotto. So about a cup to 2 cups of risotto, depends on how many people you're feeding. Put that in there. Coat it up with all the oil and get it toasting a little bit. And once it toasts down, you throw in some white wine, about a cup, maybe a little bit more of white wine, to kind of deglaze it a little bit. Get that soaking in there, and while this is going on, you should have your chicken stock already warming in a pot. So it's already over in a pot. You got about probably 36 to 48 ounces of chicken stock, so a couple of boxes already warming, because you don't want it put in cold because it'll just stop the cooking of your risotto. So get it going. As the wine starts cooking down, start adding in ladles of warm chicken stock to your pan. While all this is going on, you got to keep stirring. It'll stick to the bottom. You got to babysit it. You got to stir it. And keep stirring your risotto. Keep adding in your stock as it cooks down. Not too much at a time. A couple of ladlefuls at a time. So a couple of cups at a time as it cooks down. You can walk away here and there, but mostly you should be stirring as all this is going on. Add some seasonings, add some salt, add some pepper, add your Italian seasoning, whatever seasoning you want. It's your recipe. You do what you want with it. As you get closer and closer, you add some mushrooms. I use like a jar of mushrooms. It's just easier. You can use fresh mushrooms. I've done that as well. But just sliced up stems and pieces or whatever mushrooms you like, add that in there. Then I cook, I dice up an orange bell pepper also, mostly for color, orange or red or green if that's what you want. But also a good pepper, and throw that in there now. Let it cook in there and all that stuff. And once everything's all cooked together, you should have some chicken somewhere. So whatever chicken you want to use, it's easy if you want to use some chicken you pulled off of a rotisserie chicken you bought at the store, some chicken thighs that you cooked up, whatever kind of chicken you like, whether it's diced up or shredded. And once all your risotto's at a good, nice and tender to bite, that you get the good and tender, you're going to add in whatever chicken you want, and you're going to add about a cup of Parmesan cheese and add in about 3 or 4 more tablespoons of butter. And stir all that up, and you're going to have your cheesy chicken and mushroom risotto. Now, that is the quick version. Just kind of want to paint that picture for you of what that looks like. If this takes off again, I'll start posting my recipes somewhere so people can see them if we like them. But I wanted to kind of talk about, this is my main dish. It's my thing. I love it. I actually love it a lot as well. And again, the wife loves it. So that is the Whut the Whut podcast. DJ Cooks What, cheesy chicken and mushroom risotto. It's making me hungry just thinking about it for sure. So what do we do after we cook? We drink. So now it's time for adult beverage time here on the Whut the Whut podcast. I want to add a new segment to the podcast where I'm going to talk about adult beverages and what am I drinking right now. So I have kind of moved away from beer here and there. We'll talk about beer for sure, but today we're going to talk about liquor and cocktails. And I talked about them in the Negroni last time. So the Negroni is some gin. It's equal parts gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari. Then you mix all that up on some ice, and you have yourself a fantastic, bitter, delicious cocktail. Now, I've changed that a little bit. I do 2 ounces of gin, and then an ounce of Campari, and an ounce of sweet vermouth, and then I add a few dashes of Peychaud's bitters. So hopefully, if any of those things mean something to you, that takes the bitterness down a little bit, adds a little bit more liquor to the game. That's my version of the Negroni. I bring this up because I recently tried a new type of gin. It's Malfi gin, Malfy gin. It's an Italian lemon gin. I love lemons, and I wanted to give it a shot, see what it added to my cocktails for just gin and tonics and for my Negronis. And it was pretty cool. It's really heavy on the lemon. If you don't like lemons, do not get Malfi gin for sure. Stick with your Hendrix or your Bombay or whatever it is that you're using. But it made a really good gin and tonic. So maybe not the best for your Negroni, but man, was it good for my gin and tonic. So Malfi gin, Malfy, Italian lemon gin. What a good gin and tonic for sure. Bourbons, I'm probably always going to talk about bourbon because that's my sweet spot. It's either bourbons or Irish whiskeys. So the bourbon I tried this since the last time we talked is Old Tub. It's a mid $20 range bourbon. Made some really good old fashions, also good on the rocks, also good with just a big chunk of ice bourbon bitters, which is really how I like to drink my whiskey anyways, just with a couple dashes of bitters, whether it's Peychaud's or Angostura or orange. Those are the kind of things that I use. So if you can find Old Tub in your local liquor store, good taste, not really good yet at kind of describing the flavor notes and but still a good bourbon that I did enjoy. So let me know what you think if you can find it. If there's a bourbon or a gin or any other kind of liquor that you like, want me to try, send it to me in the email. whutpod@gmail.com. whutpod@gmail.com. What should I be trying? What kind of whiskey do you recommend, or gin, or any other kind for that matter? We'll talk more in the next episode. We're going longer than last time, which I'm happy about. That means I'm just kind of just talking, which is really what I wanted to do here. So hopefully you're still listening, you're hanging in. I want to know what else is going on, because it's time for music talk. I don't have a lot to say about music this week. It's since I stopped DJing, and because I'm not commuting for work anymore, I don't listen to as much music. Right now, any music that happens in my house is either if I'm taking a walk, which hasn't happened because it's been cold. So what's going on in my headphones when I'm walking. But in the house, really what we do is we use our Alexa. It's hooked up to, Amazon Music, and I tell her to play whatever station. So whether it's the Janet Jackson station, or the Outkast station, or the Foo Fighters station, or the Cure station, quite frankly, which will give you some good 80s music. That's really what I do with my music these days. So lately, we tried out the Her station, so the HER. So I was looking for some newer R&B type style music, and it was because I was just chilling that day. It was a good station to listen to. So however you do your music on Spotify or whatever, or Amazon, whatever it is that you're using, I don't use Spotify, so I'm not sure exactly I believe they do the same thing, but I recommend just picking a station. It's kind of like, what Pandora does, if you still use Pandora, where you just tell them an artist and they just play music like that. Because I don't listen to the same things over and over again. That's the DJ in me. I need music variety for the most part. So I can't tell it to play a certain playlist. I have playlists for sure, and I always put them on random. But I also like to see what Alexa's algorithm is going to give me. Right. And so I also, that being said, if you have Amazon Music, the My Soundtrack option, if you tell it to play your My Soundtrack, then it kind of culminates all of the music that you like, whatever you listen to, and plays that kind of stuff. for you as well. So right now my music tastes are about random music, and listening to random things, music wise. So, that's music talk here on the Whut the Whut podcast. So we're getting towards the end. So you know what that means. It is time for, the Whut the Whut top 6 of the week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. So the Whut the Whut top 6. And nobody sent me any ideas, which is fine. So if you have an idea for what we should be rating, what my top 6 of something is, let me know. Send it to me, whatpod@gmail.com. So this week I decided to talk about food, and I'm going to talk French fries. And more specifically, I'm going to talk about best restaurant French fries, whether it's fast food or restaurant or whatever, but a chain, not some personal place. Maybe with one exception, but they have to have at least a couple of locations, is how I'm going to make my own rules, right? So with that, I'm going to get right to it. So here are my top 6 restaurant French fries, and we're going to give number 6 to Wendy's. And then they've changed their fries throughout their lives, but Wendy's fries have been part of my life for a long time, way back when we were in high school, and we go to Wendy's for lunch, and you get yourself a biggie fry. So it kind of it's one of those nostalgic picks, where I just have always liked the biggie fry, or what they don't even do biggie anymore, which is no fun, but whatever. So I'm going to pick Wendy's fries. And also Wendy's fries is the fries that you get some fries and you get a Frosty and you dip your fries in a Frosty. And if you think that that's wild, I'm sorry, then you're just not living. But get some Wendy's fries, get you a Frosty, and I'm talking chocolate Frosty, not the whatever other Frosty, and you dip your fries in the Frosty. Those you listen, if you know, then you know. That's all I'm saying about that. Number 5, I'm going with Culver's, which is a new restaurant for me. Culver's restaurant, it's a burger joint. They do butter burgers, as they call it, and they use crinkle fries, man. So they have some really good, nice, crispy crinkle fries are what they serve with their burgers. And again, it's just something different, and I enjoy it. And I think my wife might call them her favorite fries, for sure. She loves crinkle fries, and it's fries are fun because it's the same thing. You just cut them in different shapes, just like pasta, right? And that changes it for you a little bit. So number 5 is Culver's. Number 4 is going to be Five Guys. Five Guys Burgers and Fries. And their fries, the fresh cut potatoes, deep fried, they still got the skin on them. Delicious, right? And they give you a ton of them. Right now they get soggy quick, which isn't always my favorite thing for sure, but still enjoyable. They're not really a crispy fry, but they're a very flavorful fry because they're fresh potatoes that they have the potatoes all over the place. If you go to a Five Guys, and so they're real good. So that's going to be my number 4. Number 3, Red Robin. That's right. Red Robin fries, they're bottomless basket of fries. They give you a good steak fry, good thick cut steak fry that's usually cooked very well. And then that Red Robin seasoning, whatever is in there, delicious, right? So I'm going to give my number 3 to Red Robin. Number 2 is only for people from Morgantown, West Virginia. And it's going to be Wings Ole Bay Fries. That's right. So Wings Ole is this interesting restaurant in my hometown. I think they still have 2 locations, so they're going to count. I haven't been home in a while. They serve tacos and burritos and wings and all these. It's a really weird place, but they have their fries are kind of just straight cut fries, but they put Old Bay seasoning on them. And Old Bay seasoning is for all things. And so it's a nostalgic pick for me. Right, love going there, getting French fries and blue cheese, right? French fries and blue, with your wings and their bay fries, right? So again, Wings Ole, Morgantown, West Virginia, Wings Ole Bay Fries. If you get a chance to drive through, find Wings Ole, trust me. Or just make yourself some straight cut fries and put Old Bay all over them, and you'll kind of get the picture. So who is my number 1 French fry, restaurant French fry? I think you know where this is going. Listen, let's be real. It's McDonald's. Say what you will about McDonald's. If you're an 80s kid like me, McDonald's is where it's at. And their burgers aren't the greatest for sure. None of their nuggets are probably the original, right? But that doesn't make them the greatest, but they're still delicious. But their fries are their fries. The shoestring, straight cut, heavy deep fried McDonald's French fry, salted the way they salt them. It's still the winner for me. I can eat lots of different places and do whatever. I'll eat whatever for the most part. My favorite fries is the McDonald's French fry. That's really it's the number one. So that's all I really have to say about it. It's just the way they do it. They've been doing it forever. I'm sure who knows what's in there. I don't even care, because if I cared about what was in there, I wouldn't go to McDonald's. But they do their fries right, and I appreciate them for it. So thank you, McDonald's. So that is the Whut the Whut top 6 for episode 2. French fries, restaurant French fries. What's your top 6? Let me know. Let me know for sure. Send me an email, whatpod@gmail.com. Let me know what your top 6 fries. Did I leave one out? Let me know who your favorite fries are. Don't have to give me a top 6. Who did I leave out? Let me know. I want to be able to talk about it on my podcast and what the audience is thinking. So let me know what you think. Who's your favorite fry, right? So that being said, we bring us to the end of the episode. We almost doubled the time from last time. Hopefully you stuck with me. Hopefully you had some feedback to give me. So let me know what you think, right? Hit me up at whatpod@gmail.com. What do you think of the episode? If you have my personal contact, whether it's my Facebook or my Instagram, give me a shout out. Let me know what you thought, what you didn't like, what you did like. I'm certainly for sure would love to hear from everybody. If you want to be a guest, I think I'm looking for some guests. I think I want to be able to bring somebody on with me, kind of go through the episode with me and add their 2 cents in to whatever it is that we're talking about, to give me their top 6, whatever our topic is, and go through it. So if you think that you want to be a guest on a podcast with your friendly neighborhood DJ, hit me up. Let me know what you think and what your deal is, and do you have the equipment to do so? Because we do things remotely now. We use Zoom or whatever, and we'll figure it out. And I'm curious to see how that works. But I think, while I sit here, obviously can talk for 40 minutes on my own, I think it may be more interesting if I'm talking to somebody else as well. So I know I've got a couple of candidates, people that are interested in being a guest. So we'll see what they think. My brother really wanting to talk, and I think that we may be able to do that. But if anybody else wants to be a guest, I'd love to have you on. I think I'm enjoying this. This is the second time I'm doing it. I think I'm going to be okay. I don't know if people are going to listen or not, but we will see. So if you are listening for the second episode, or this is the first time you listen, go back, listen to the first episode, and share it for me, please. Let your friends know. If you think this is interesting, don't do it for pity. But if you think that this is engaging and we can get better, then give it a listen and share it with other people and tell them to give it a listen and see what they think. And we're still trying to figure out how long it should be. This one looks like it's going to hit about 45 minutes, but I was thinking 30 to 45. I don't know how long I want to be, but we'll see where this goes. Obviously, I had more to say this week, right? So with that, look, if you want to sponsor, I'm trying to make a side hustle. So if you got a business that you think it would be beneficial for me to talk about on the podcast, so you want to get me to read an ad for you in my ad voice, if you will, then let me know, and I will certainly read your ad for you. We can make a deal. So again, hit me up, whatpod@gmail.com, and we can talk about that for sure. So with that, we're going to end with the Whut the Whut question of the week. This is the question that I ask that I hope you will answer. Last time we asked, are you naked if you're only wearing socks? And those that did reply had mixed feelings, right? Some people said, yeah, you're naked. And some people said, no, you still have socks on. And I think that the way I put it was, I think that if you're only wearing socks, then technically, by the definition of nakedness, then you're not, because you're still wearing some kind of clothing garment. But let's be honest. If somebody came running down the halls of a school or in the mall or wherever, and they only had socks on and that's it, you would say that they were naked, and you would not be okay with it. So therefore, you're naked. That's my opinion. And that's what I have is my opinion. So, but it was down the middle. People were both ways on that one. Some were very technical and some were like, listen, it's not okay. He's naked. So I'm going to leave you with this question this week. And this one, I'm trying to remember where I got this from. I think it was something that I saw online, but I just think it's, when you put it this way, it's such a simple thing from your childhood that I really want to hear what people think. So the question of the week is this. Is Bingo the name of the dog or the farmer? Think about that for a second. Sing the song in your head. Think about the context. And are we talking about the dog or the farmer? Give me your answer. whatpod@gmail.com. Can't wait to hear from you all. I had such a good time for sure. Thanks for listening. Spread the word if you will. And I'll see you next time on the Whut the Whut podcast. The podcast about nothing, but also about all the things. And as always, enjoy yourself. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And thanks for listening.